Hi everyone, Flash Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Whiston project, Whiston Bish! Kai is a young buck from the UK who is fresh off of a little EP that he dropped via the Big Dada label last year, which has gotten a lot of support from the likes of Igloo Ghost, which is probably why his new record over here is coming out via the GLOO record label, glue as in igloo. Kai is pretty much one more in a growing scene of music producers with a somewhat postmodern twist, creating these massive multi-genre cacophonies of glitchy bangers from the future. Explaining Kai Whiston's influences on this record is less like a crossroad and more like a multi-lane roundabout, or like an intricate highway system with a series of on and off ramps going in routes that hit a variety of different directions. As Kai's new record over here contains elements of industrial music and wonky and trap and glitch hop, a bit of UK bass, maybe a touch of bubblegum bass, and a little bit of nu metal in there as well for some reason. There are some subtle nods on this record too to the heavy bass and gargantuan drops of dubstep, but maybe a little bit smarter. Not too smart though. This is not like dubstep with a bachelor's degree. This is more like dubstep going to night school to get its GED and then maybe go on to learn a trade. And it passed all the classes, but it didn't study that hard. The grades weren't that good generally, because most of the time it was worried about being the cool kid in the back of the class with some ripped jeans and an edgy band t-shirt. Does that explanation, is that enough for you? I hope it is. There are definitely some artistic parallels on this record to like the jittery rhythms of an Igloo Ghost track, or the build-ups and choppy samples of a Hudson Mohawk, or even Arca's super abstract and post-industrial sound design. Kai will often find spaces in his hard-hitting and relentless tracks to work in some finer, more regal, instrumental passages that are a bit more atmospheric and moody and emotional, like the haunting and rich synthesizers at the start of the opening cut on this thing, All Is Fair in Love and Kai Whiston, or the moody little electric guitar licks that are introduced in the second leg of For Fuck's Sake, a surprisingly long cut on this record at 7 minutes, with a passage that features some screamed vocals and incredibly busy beats. It's like listening to a fusion of Death Grip's Igloo Ghost and emo trap, some of which comes together pretty effectively, though it does feel a little gimmicky at the end of the day. What seems to leave an even larger mark on this record, though, is Kai Whiston's sense of humor, as there are tons of cheeky, absurd, and over-the-top samples and transitions all over this thing. The screamed watermark that turns up periodically on this record, it's Kai Whiston, bitch! The mutated vocal samples on the track Mushy Seas, I had a dream I got on my way to heaven. All of the chipmunk chatter that sounds like something out of an Igloo Ghost song on LSD. More LSD than usual. Then there's the song Druck, which features these incessant vocal samples repeating again and again and again and again. Sounds like something out of a Ghetto House track. Kinda wish it were longer though. And then there are some pretty novel and creative fusions of sounds and ideas on this record too, like on the track Brain FRITTA, which sounds like Kai is taking an inspiration from that amazing Tonight EP, but trying to just overblow it and distort it to the loudest volume possible. This track is brain demolishing, with some meth sprinkled on top. This track is not only laced with these horrifying sour synth swells, but also distorted lead melodies that feel like a guitar lick being sucked through a wormhole. This record also has a vocal feature from the one and only Clarence Clarity on the Cut Your Secrets, where I do wish vocally he contributed a little bit more to the track, but it is a nice multi-phased banger where Kai does effectively use Clarence's voice as an instrument, a sound, just a sample to be chopped up and sort of played throughout various points of the track to add a bit more color. It's a tasteful execution. Kai, for all of his bombacity, for being as obnoxious as he is in the DAW, he does seem to have quite a bit of technical skill and the taste to know when to push things and maybe when not to. However, in my opinion, there is a bit of a lull in the last leg of the record, and listen, it's not for lack of volume or anything like that, but I do think Kai hits a bit of a snag in some of the final moments of this album, in that he has pushed the bangers on this record just about as far as he possibly can. At this point in time, anyway. The song structures on this thing even start to suffer as the closing track just seems to disappear suddenly into vapor at some point when Kai just kind of sounds like he has no more ideas to progress it any further than he's brought it. Kai's compositions on this record, for the most part, are pretty maximal too, and there are some moments where I do wish the mixing was a little bit better. He just packs these things with sound, and I feel like some of it could come out a bit more clearly or be a bit more overwhelming had it been more intelligible, I guess. There are also a few cuts on this thing that I think could have used a bit more structure, a bit more length as a result of being as short and as one-dimensional as they are. They do feel kind of like odds and ends or even filler. All that being said, though, most of what is on this record, though, is pretty good. It's colorful. It's nearly lethal. It's off the wall. It's borderline insane and shows a lot of promise. Definitely a sound and definitely an artist I would like to hear more from in the future. I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this thing. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano. Kai Whiston.